The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna Part 3. Om Stapukaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma sarupine avatara varishthayo Ramakrishnaya te namah. Master continuing. Longing is like the rosy dawn. After the dawn out comes the sun. Longing is followed by the vision of God. God reveals himself to a devotee who feels drawn to him by the combined force of these three attractions: the attraction of worldly possessions for the worldly man, the child's attraction for its mother, and the husband's attraction for the chaste wife. If one feels drawn to him by the combined force of these three attractions, then through it one can attain him. The point is to love God even as the mother loves her child, the chaste wife her husband, and the worldly man his wealth. Add together these three forces of love, these three powers of attraction, and give it all to God, then you will certainly see the God. It is necessary to pray to Him with a longing heart. The kitten knows only how to call its mother, crying, mew mew. It remains satisfied whenever its mother puts it, and the mother cat puts the kitten sometimes in the kitten, sometimes on the floor, and sometimes on the bed. When it suffers, it cries only mew mew. That's all it knows. But as soon as the mother hears this cry, wherever she may be, she comes to the kitten. It was Sunday afternoon when Mo came on his third visit to the master. He had been profoundly impressed by his first two visits to this wonderful man. He had been thinking of the master constantly, and of the utterly simple way he explained the deep truths of the spiritual life. Never before had he met such a man. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the small couch. The room was filled with devotees who had taken advantage of the holiday to come to see the master. Mo had not yet become acquainted with any of them, so he took his seat in a corner. The master smiled as he talked with the devotees. He addressed his words particularly to a young man of 19 named Narendranath, who was a college student and frequented the Sadharan Brahma Samaj. His eyes were bright, his words were full of spirit, and he had the look of a lover of God. Most guessed that the conversation was about worldly men who look down on those who aspire to spiritual things. The master was talking about the great number of such people in the world and about how to deal with them. Master, to Narendra, how do you feel about it? Worldly people say all kinds of things about the spiritual minded. But look here, when an elephant moves along the street, any number of curs and other small animals may bark and cry after it, but the elephant doesn't even look back at them. If people speak ill of you, what will you think of them? Narendra, I shall think their dogs are barking at me. Master smiling, oh no, you must not go that far, my child. Laughter. God dwells in all beings, but you may be intimate only with good people. You must keep away from the evil minded. God is even in the tiger, but you cannot embrace the tiger on that account. The laughter. You may say, why run away from a tiger, which is also a manifestation of God? The answer to that is, those who tell you to run away are also manifestations of God. And why shouldn't you listen to them? Let me tell you a story. In a forest, there lived a holy man who had many disciples. One day, he taught them to see God in all being, and knowing this, to bow low before them all. A disciple went to the forest to gather wood. Disciple went to the forest to gather wood for the sacrificial fire. Suddenly, he heard an outcry. Get out of the way! A mad elephant is coming. All but the disciple of the holy man took to their heels. He reasoned that the elephant was also God in another form. Then why should he run away from it? He stood still, bowed before the animal, and began to sing its praises. The mahout of the elephant was shouting, run away, run away. But the disciple didn't move. The animal seized him with its trunk and cast him to one side and went its way. Hurt and bruised, the disciple lay unconscious on the ground. Hearing what had happened, his teacher and his brother disciple came to him and carried him to the hermitage. With the help of some medicine, he soon regained consciousness. Someone asked him, you knew the elephant was coming, why didn't you leave the place? But he said, our teacher has told us that God Himself has taken all these forms of animals as well as men. Therefore, thinking it was only the elephant God that was coming, I didn't run away. At this, the teacher said, yes, my child, it is true that the elephant God was coming, but the Mahout God forbade you to stay there, since all are manifestations of God. Why didn't you trust the Mahout's words? You should have heeded the words of the Mahout God. Laughter. It is said in the scriptures that water is a form of God, but some water is fit to be used for worship, some water for washing the face, and some only for washing plates or dirty linen. This last shot cannot be used for drinking or for a holy purpose. In like manner, God undoubtedly dwells in the hearts of all, holy and unholy, righteous and unrighteous. But a man should not have dealing with the unholy, the wicked, the impure. He must be intimate with them. With some of them he may exchange words, but with others he shouldn't go even that far. He should keep aloof from such people. A devotee. Sir, if a wicked man is about to do harm or actually does so, should we keep quiet them? Master, a man living in society should make a show of tamas to protect himself from evil-minded people, but he should not harm anybody in anticipation of harm likely to be done him. Listen to a story. Some coward boys used to tend their cows in a meadow where a terrible poisonous snake lived. Everyone was on the alert for fear of it. One day, a brahmachari was going along the meadow. The boys ran to him and said, Revert, sir, please don't go that way. A venomous snake lives there over there. What of it, my good children? Said the brahmachari. I am not afraid of the snake. I know some mantras. So saying, he continued on his way along the meadow, but the coward boys, being afraid, did not accompany him. In the meantime, the snake moved swiftly towards him with upraised hood. As soon as it came near, he recited a mantra, and the snake lay at his feet like an earthworm. The brahmachari said, "Look here, why do you go about doing harm? Come, I will give you a holy word. By repeating it, you will learn to love God. Ultimately, you will realize him, and so get rid of your violent nature." Saying this, he taught the snake a holy word and initiated him into a spiritual life. The snake bowed before the teacher and said, "Revered sir, how shall I practice spiritual discipline?" "Repeat that sacred word," said the teacher, "and do no harm to anybody." He was about to depart. The brahmachari said, "I shall see you again." Some days passed, and the coward boys noticed that the snake would not bite. They threw stones at it. Still, it showed no anger. It behaved as if it were an earthworm. One day, one of the boys came close to it, caught it by the tail, and whirling it round and round, dashed it again and again on the ground and threw it away. The snake vomited blood and became unconscious. It was stunned. It could not move. So, thinking it dead, the boys went their way. Late at night, the snake regained consciousness. Slowly and with great difficulty, it dragged itself into its hole. Its bones were broken and it could scarcely move. Many days passed. The snake became a mere skeleton covered with skin. Now and then at night it come out in search of food. For fear of the boys, it would not leave its hole during the daytime. Since receiving the sacred word from the teacher, it had given up doing harm to others. It maintained its life on its dirt, leaves, or the fruit that dropped from the trees. About a year later, the brahmachari came that way again and asked after the snake. The coward boys told him that it was dead, but he couldn't believe them. He knew that the snake wouldn't die before attaining the fruit of the holy word with which it had been initiated. He found his way to the place and, searching here and there, called it by the name of he had given it. Hearing the teacher voice, it came out of its hole and bowed before him with great reverence. "How are you?" asked the brahmachari. "I am well, sir," replied the snake. But the teacher asked, "Why are you so thin?" The snake replied, "Revered sir, you ordered me not to harm anybody, so I have been living only on leaves and fruit. Perhaps that has made me thinner." The snake had developed the quality of sattva. It could not be angry with anyone. It had totally forgotten that the coward boys had almost killed it. The brahmachari said, it could be mere want of food that has reduced you to this state. There must be some other reason. Think a little." Then the snake remembered that the boys had dashed it again against the ground. It said, "Yes, revered sir, now I remember. The boys one day dashed me violently against the ground. They are ignorant after all. They didn't realize what a great change had come over my mind. How could they know I wouldn't bite or them harm anyone?" The brahmachari explained, "What a shame! You are such a fool. You don't know how to protect yourself. I asked you not to bite, but I didn't forbid you to hiss. Why didn't you scare them by hissing? So you must hiss at wicked people. You must frighten them. They should you harm, but never inject your venom into them. One must not injure others. In this creation of God, there is a variety of things: men, animals, trees, plants. Among the animals, some are good, some bad. There are ferocious animals like the tigers, some trees bear fruit sweet as nectar, and others bear fruit that is poisonous. Likewise, among human beings, there are the good and the wicked, the holy and the unholy. There are some who are devoted to it, and others who are attached to the world. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching my video. Hare Krishna.